tell you, you look like if I fucked Mulaney. That's a good look.
Yeah, I'll accept that look. I appreciate you coming on, man, saying yes to a stranger on the other side of the world. I actually kind of felt bad because I know you say how, you find it very hard to say no to things. So I'm like, I don't even want to ask him because he'll feel bad. I feel like an asshole.
Well, what am I doing? I got shows tonight. I had my friend who I do a podcast with. We shoot a couple a week, and he's off doing a movie. So I actually have a little free time. So I wanted to see what's going on the other side of the old hemisphere.
I looked on Google Trends. This is the country you're fourth most popular in the world.
What?
Yeah, Australia.
Wow, I'm shocked.
Canada, Ireland, US, Canada, Ireland, Australia.
I'm shocked. I figured UK or England would be in there.
They're not India. They're not India over there.
Damn. Yeah, well, I'll get them next time. My teeth are too nice. What can you do? But
I'm going to ask you a bit about yourself, which I'm sure you'll absolutely hate, so we can just end it now. But I want to ask, but firstly, I want to say, what are your initial thoughts when you hear there's a podcast entirely dedicated to getting Jerry Seinfeld on?
Is that right? Is that called Tuesdays with Stories?
That's true. That's just called Listen to Mark's text back and forth with Jerry, and hope for his sake. But the whole thing, this is called Get Jerry On. All we're trying to do is get Jerry Seinfeld on this thing, whilst also interviewing comedians at the same time and having Jerry on's an excuse. But we won't talk about that part.
I get it. I'd like to have him on mine, but as a friend, I don't ask him because I know he would hate it.
Oh, absolutely. And as someone that doesn't know him, wouldn't mind asking him.
Yeah, might as well throw it out there. I mean, he's done so few. It's so weird. He did like Tim Ferriss. He did Kevin Hart. He did Amy Schumer's. So he'll do it if he respects you. So I think you're fucked.
I don't even respect myself. Why is he going to respect me?
Exactly.
Well, I don't think he respected Mark Maron that much, and he went on that. So there's a glimmer of hope.
Good point. Yeah, that really came through as well. You could kind of see the disdain there. Little Jew on Jew crime.
So essentially, he'll only go on like the top 5 podcasts in the world, and this is likely to be the top 5 podcasts in my building. So
yeah, well, he wouldn't do Rogan.
True. Yet he won't do it yet.
We'll see what happens.
We all flip at some stage.
How great would that be? That would be a fun 3 hours of pot smoking.
Oh, yeah. Just seeing Jerry actually hating it from the second he walked in and regretting it.
Yeah, I know. I don't think he loves him as a comic. So, hey, what do I know? I'm saying too much.
Yeah, that's another issue I have when I'm interviewing people. You can tell the closer people are to Jerry, the less they want to say, make sure he doesn't hear I went on this stupid thing to say that the whole pod's dedicated to getting him on.
Yeah, exactly. Is that really what it is?
Yeah. So it's called, the podcast is actually called Get Jerry On. Main thing is just to interview comedians with the hook, because every podcast needs a hook. Otherwise, who the hell is going to listen to two people blabbering on? We'll come up with some funny ideas on how to get Jerry Seinfeld on the podcast. For example, I've had a billboard in the middle of Sydney in a busy area, just saying, because you need people listening to this thing before he comes on, obviously. And so I just had a billboard in the middle of Sydney saying, "Do you know Jerry Seinfeld?" with a question mark and a link to the podcast. So people thinking, what's going on here? A little hook. It was essentially like all advertising, tricking people. They probably thought they're going to a podcast and going to hear Jerry Seinfeld. They got my voice and we're like, is that the guy from the news talking sport? This is very disappointing.
Right. Well, you got to have some good questions prepared, because he's a real cunt about questions. Like if you ask him something stupid, he's like, "What? Oh, that sucks. Move it along. Next." So you got to be prepared.
Absolutely. As a lifetime journalist, I hope I've got some coming, but I've got nothing planned at the moment. And that's part of the reason I wanted him, because I know he's such a hard taskmaster. And if you ask him something, he'd be like, "That's a piece of shit." Or, you had a whole podcast for years trying to get me on. You harassed me. I finally come on and you asked that piece of shit of a question. What is this?
That's exactly what he do. I saw him once on TMZ. You know what? You guys have TMZ?
We're not that far away, Mark. That's another Australian hate. Do you guys have one of the most popular celebrity shows in the world? Yes, we do.
You guys have Wi-Fi over there? You got that yet? No. Yeah. Have you had coffee? No. But so he pulls up on a bike. He's on a bicycle in Manhattan, and he pulls up, and the guy's like, "Hey, Jerry." He's got the camera. He goes, "Jerry, what do you think about comedy right now?" And he's like, "Oh, that was it? Yeah, I pull up on a bike. You got me. Comedy legend. That was your question." And the guy was like, and he starts backtracking. Jerry goes, "Sorry, you had one, you lost." And he walks in the restaurant. It was Great moment.
That's great. That kind of reminds me of your idea when you text him and you're like, hey, you want to just drive around Times Square when there's no one here, and he just ignored you. And when he eventually wrote back saying, okay.
That's still, I'm in the shower going, what the fuck were you thinking, you fucking chooch? You know, but still haunts me. Yeah.
It still makes you human, you know, it makes you feel like you're just a down-to-earth guy still struggling to text Jerry. I'm going to ask you all about Jerry in a second. I do want to ask you a bit about you, so close your ears if you have to.
Hit me, fatty.
All right. You got this new Netflix special coming out soon. Congratulations. Just from listening to your podcast and all that over the years, you've obviously put a lot of, mental and physical energy into your stand-up, and you give a lot of yourself to the craft of stand-up. You finally got that Netflix special. I know selling out venues actually means more to you than getting on Netflix, but
Sure.
what is it about that stupid red N logo flashing up on the screen before a special that kind of makes it so important? Has it at least given you kind of a minor feeling of accomplishment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's a good question. It's always been like this. Before it was HBO, you had that HBO badge. Now it's the N badge or the N word, whatever you want to call it. So it's the new badge. Soon it'll be Apple or Amazon or whatever. So it always changes, but right now it's the N. And I got a special on YouTube with 7 million views, which is flattering, means the world to me, huge accomplishment. But there's something in the human mind where they go, yeah, but they chose you. It's kind of like when somebody goes, I'm beautiful, big is beautiful. And we all go, yeah. But if you go, man, she's hot, it means more. If someone else picks you, it means more than just, that's why women don't propose, because then they would just ask some guy and the guy's like, all right. But if the girl says yes, that's why it's special to them, because somebody asked them. And it's the same with Netflix. They asked, they wanted me. Yeah. So also, I feel like I blew my wad on YouTube. I got the 7 million views. Maybe it'll keep going. Maybe we'll get to 10 one day. So I feel like I got YouTube. I beat it. I did it. So let's try to beat Netflix, or let's try to beat HBO or whatever. So it's all just, let's see how many things we can accomplish and how many flags we can put into each planet.
Yeah. Were you shocked that you did reach 7 million in 1 year on your first special there on YouTube? If someone told you that, were you like, what?
Of course. I mean, I was like, maybe we'll get 1 million. Maybe in like 10 years, we'll get 2 million. Who knows? So that was a huge shocker. And I think obviously the jokes are solid. Like I polished that hour like a samurai sword, just tinkering away. But a pandemic doesn't hurt either. Yeah. We're all locked inside and you're like, all right, we've seen fucking Queen's Gambit 48 times. Put on that twink.
I had Daniel Sloss on this pod, and he said that Netflix made him famous, made him rich, all of this stuff, great. But he's considering putting his next special on YouTube because he just wants to, he doesn't like the idea that he doesn't own his content and the rights to it. And it's kind of annoyed him.
Isn't that interesting? He's a great comic. He's a beast. But see, that's the thing, is like, good for him. You got to diversify the portfolio. So if he's already gotten Netflix famous, try another one. So now the YouTube clan can find him. You already got the Netflix clan. So now you're just building your audience. So I think it's a good idea. The only problem is, and this is, comics are lazy. We're cunts. We suck. We're idiots. You got to get the cameras. You got to get the editor. You got to get the lights. You got to get the theater. You got to fill it up. And you don't get paid. Netflix does all the dirty work and gives you money, and you can just kick back and wait for the BJs to roll in. So that's the rub.
Yeah. Well, the good thing, I guess, that was probably like you starting it out when you did it, but I guess someone that's already done it at Daniel Sloss's level, he wouldn't have to worry about any of that. He'd just write a check and it'll be set up for him, even if it was for YouTube.
True. Yeah. I mean, I'm still nobody, but back then, before I did this YouTube, I was definitely nobody. And I had to really wash some cars and mow some lawns to get that money together. Yeah.
Well, you did a good effort. I want to mention the fact that Netflix passed on that last special, and you've made fun of them, criticized Netflix relentlessly for a range of reasons over the years. I mean, one example, you said Netflix just wants shiny star fuckery, and I'm not it. Was it awkward was it awkward when you went into the meeting? They told you, look, you're now going to be here on Netflix. Did they mention it all? Did you make a joke? How did it go?
I did. I turned it down at first, and the lady who books the talent on Netflix called me, and we go way back. She used to work at Comedy Central, so she booked my half hour, my hour, all that. So we go way back, and she called me and kind of convinced me to do it. And I made fun of like a lot of the other comics they've booked. I was like, you put that person on, that's who you get. There's so many funny people. And she's like, I know. I would say more if I could, but I can't. But I get what you're saying. And so it's a conflict of interest, yada, yada. But she's like, you're earning this because of your act. That's why you're getting it. And I'm like, that means a lot. That's all I need to hear. I'm in.
Yeah,
so I was focusing on the other people who got stuff on Netflix instead of focusing on, hey, I got one.
Yeah, you got chosen by the girl this time, so it felt good for you. You flipped it.
Exactly. But I still stand by that they put on a lot of shit. But look, some people like shit. Like, I don't eat at McDonald's, but it's billion-dollar corporation. So like, yeah, why shouldn't it exist? Just because I don't like it? So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, makes sense. Your last special, you've kind of mentioned over the years how you spent 2 years writing it, a year polishing it, half a year to add tags, so 3.5 years up. This new special, it's half the length, but it's taken just 1 year. How did you know this one was as polished as your last effort in less time?
I don't think it is, if I'm being honest, just because factually that can't be true. You know, I put 4 years into that one, and this one I put 2 years into, but it is half as long, and there's some fucking pearls in there. I wouldn't say it's as tight as, I mean, Out to Lunch was like not a cunt hair out of place, but this is like, this is good, but it's not that. But they wanted to shoot it ASAP, and I wanted to get on there, and it has enough great stuff in it. I wouldn't say it's all great, but there's enough great that I said, let's do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think if it goes well enough, you get an hour later, and I'll blow the hell out of that one. So that's the plan.
I'm sure this one will go well too. It'll go well too. Always talking yourself down, Mark. Come on, talk it up. Talk the thing up. I mean, I want to mention that a lot of fans kind of seem to relate to you as well, because you seem like that everyday man, a battler who always seems a bit unsure of himself, but always delivers in the end due to, you know, incredible talent and lots of hard work. You've got that kind of great combination. Do you see yourself as that underdog that kind of rises through the ranks still?
Well, definitely underdog. Definitely battling a lot of bullshit up here in the old noggin. So yeah. I mean, I've always desired to be one of these like James Bond, stoic, suit on, cigarette case, fast car guys. But you know, the reality is I'm not that guy, and you got to face that. And I think the key to life is finding what's fucked up about you and flipping it, like using it instead of trying to hide it and push it down. Use it. I got a horrible voice. I'm a weirdo, bad movements. I'm stiff. I'm gay. So just come out with it instead of just trying to, you know, pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, the old "be yourself" mantra, and that's your unique superpower. I gotcha.
Has anyone said that yet? Has that been done?
No, I'm gonna put that on a postcard.
But not just be yourself. Use yourself. Yeah. Like throw yourself into yourself. Fuck yourself.
That's easy done.
Yeah.
In reference to that, it's kind of, you're rare in a sense that you embrace a lot of positive thinking. You talk about, you like the self-help stuff, the stoic type thinking. You enjoy reading that kind of stuff. Do you find it hard to balance that with a cynical kind of cutting edge, funny, who gives a fuck way that another part of your brain kind of works as a comedian?
Wow. Jeez, boy, you are good. Seinfeld's going to love you. If you keep pulling these gems out. Wait, say that one again. It was so well said that I got a boner and I got confused.
All right, put the boner away. I'm talking about how you embrace a lot of positive thinking. You talk about, self-help, stoic type thinking. You enjoy reading all that material, but then how do you find it hard to balance that with the kind of cynical, cutting edge, funny, who gives a fuck way that another part of your brain works as a comedian?
Yeah. I think I try to combine the two. Like, who gives a fuck if I say this horrible thing? We're all going to die one day. What's the difference? It's just a joke. Let's move on. So you take the stoic and you take the fucked up thought and you put them together. You go, here you go. Yeah, this will probably upset some people, but we're all just specks of dust on a flying marble in the universe. And, in 50 years, I'll be dead. So what's the fucking difference?
Yeah. It's I just
go for it, I say.
Yeah, yeah. I feel the same way sometimes trying to think of like trying to be positive, then you just want to make fun of something at the same time. And you're like,
Yeah.
these feel like conflicting things, but I feel both of them.
Yes, yes, exactly. And that's completely normal and not a bad
Mm.
thing. But I think the stoicism you gotta go, that's internal. You gotta use that for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not good enough, I'm insecure, I'm ugly, I'm short, I'm fat, whatever. That's where the stoicism comes in. Or somebody's, you're reading your comments and they're like, you suck, you're a hack, quit comedy. You got to just put that out. But that's all internal. But the comedy stuff is outside. It's like, hey, external. Hey, how about this? What's up with fat people? What's up with black people? What's up with women? Let's talk about it. Woo!
Well,
Because we all have these thoughts.
yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
And no, go on. Another thing that kind of links to that to me is when I hear lots of jokes, I think they're funny. I'm not offended at all. But then, you hear some jokes about black people, Asian people, anything, Jewish people, and you think, okay, that's funny, but oftentimes they're playing on stereotypes. And someone once said to me, jokes are fine and they're just jokes taken that way, but they do perpetuate stereotypes. And that's always kind of stood with me. It's like, yeah, I just take it as a joke, but also they are kind of perpetuating those stereotypes. And whether we like it or not, they might be possibly not have a positive effect on the person they're about.
Sure. I totally get that. I think the problem with comedy is it's all mechanics, really. Look, if you're going up there just saying black people steal, you're like, all right, this guy's a shitty comic and maybe a bad person. But if you can use the stereotype to get to a setup punch or a pun or something like that, it's all mechanics. Like I have a joke about school shootings that a lot of people had a problem with. You guys don't have those, do you?
No, you can't have any guns over here.
All right, so there we go.
We like to follow a thing called common sense.
But now we found something that we have that you don't, finally. But yeah, it was just like, do you guys say shotgun when you run to a car to get the front seat?
Yeah, we've got shotgun. Yeah.
So I'd say when I was a kid, we'd say shotgun to run to the car, and now they say shotgun in a classroom, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what are you promoting school shootings?" And I'm like, no, I'm just using the shotgun homonym or homophone or whatever the word is, homophobe, whatever it is. But like, it's just mechanics, like it's just wordplay. I'm not actually promoting it or supporting it or whatever. There's no opinion involved in this. No. And that's the problem with comedy that people don't get.
Yeah, you twist it to your advantage, and if it's funny, it's funny.
If it's funny, it's funny, and it's not about really hurting people or anything. It's just like that word linked to that word. It's just, people always say like, why do you joke about race so much? I'm like, because it exists. Like Jim Gaffigan jokes about food because food exists. I don't know. It's out there. It's interesting.
This is normally the stage where I start, really getting into how to get Jerry on this thing. I ask the guests, have you ever met him? Do you have a story? Well, you're a special guest today. You've opened for him. You have a relationship with him. You text him. You've eaten dinner with him after shows. He's given you advice. But I heard that the time you first met him, you were coming off stage at a club. He said he was a fan of yours. Oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. He's then publicly said you're the best up and coming comedian, we'll say, in the world. How did hearing him say that and just saying that he was a fan of yours the first time, how does that rank in kind of your comedy career in terms of highlights?
That's really one of those big epic milestone moments. It's like Netflix or whatever, the YouTube special. That's all great, and I'm appreciative. But like I did that and I got that. This was someone else saying it. And so and it's someone I grew up watching with my family in the living room, and I know his act back to front. So that's one of those things in life where you're like, this would never happen. This if that was in a movie, you would go, the movie was good until that part. That was a little too over the top and too Hollywood or something. But like the whole thing is bananas. I can't believe it. Hard work pays off. I didn't see it coming. I still can't. I'll watch it every now and then just to like go, oh Jesus. And my friend had a great point. He said they can never take that away from you. You get a TV show, you say a horrible word, they'll take it. Sorry, Roseanne, whatever it is. They can't take that. It's on video. I got it. On loop, playing in my house all the time. So pretty unbelievable. Just the fact that he is aware of who I am. I have his phone number. The whole thing is bananas.
Yeah. I
love the words.
I love the part about you having his phone number, and you're kind of still like a fan. You talk openly about how you text him, and every text you send, you're kind of like, it's like you're texting a girl in high school trying to figure out what to say, not to annoy him.
Yes.
Are you worried that talking about that so openly, I know you'll say that he probably won't, he's not going to listen to your podcast, but someone might hear him and might go through the comedy world and he might end up hearing it. Are you scared that he's going to be annoyed and stop texting you, that you publicly talk about your text with him?
I am. I actually am. I told a story about, I don't know if you heard it on the pod where I opened for him and I fucked up and he kind of got mad at me. And I told this epic story about it and it went viral because people were like, wow, this is a crazy story. And I deleted it really quick because I was like, it'll get to him. And I don't want me talking about him. Look, it's an honor to do the gig. I'm grateful. I'm lucky I got the chance, so I shouldn't blow it. But this kind of stuff I'll do because I'm still supporting him and I'm a fan. And I think he would get it. I think if he was my age and Rodney Dangerfield or George Carlin or Richard Pryor was like, hey, Jerry, what do you want to get lunch? He'd be like, ah. So I think he'd be the same way. But I should keep it cool. There wasn't YouTube back then or podcast back then. So we don't know how he felt, but I guarantee he would be this giddy the way I am.
Yeah. Is there stories that you've kind of kept to yourself that you know that if it went public, that's it, friendship terminated?
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll
With him in
text every now and then.
Yeah.
We'll text every now and then about like who he likes, who doesn't like. But he's a regular guy. He has opinions about this and that, and so yeah, of course. But I don't want to jeopardize anything. I like the guy. He's a genuinely great guy, sweet guy. We're both obsessed with comedy, so I don't want to jeopardize. But yeah, of course, he's got stuff. We all got stuff.
Yeah. So he told you that Kevin Hart's a hack. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks, Mark. There's your headline.
I don't think he would have done his podcast, but great listen. But I think he is confused. Like, why do you say Kevin Hart at the end? I think that confused stuff like that. He's so old school. But yeah, he's got stuff. We all got stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been coming up with some ideas on how to get Jerry on this thing. Obviously, if he does eventually come on, the whole podcast is over, so the thing's screwed. I guess maybe then I'll just turn in to get Larry on. But
hey, not a bad backup.
And even harder to get on, I'm sure. But
yeah,
goes from impossible to what are you even doing with yourself? Do you have
did Kevin Pollak's pod? It's a great listen if you haven't heard it.
No, I haven't. I'm going to look that up.
Killer, Kevin Pollak. Check it out. Larry David is he's great on it.
Yeah, I love the recent story how he got uninvited to Obama's 60th. He got the call and he thought it was because he was being asked to do a stand-up set, so he didn't want to call the assistant back.
You gotta love him. He is that guy. There's no hyperbole at all.
No, absolutely. So I normally ask a guest if they've got a single idea for me on how to get Jerry on this thing, whether it be an idea on how to make, because essentially this is a bit of a stitch up on podcasts in general, that there's so many, why listen to mine? So I try and give the podcast a hook, come up with silly ways to promote the podcast, or just a way to get Jerry to even hear that this thing exists. Like a random idea. Do you want me to run you through some of the ideas people have had?
Sure.
Why you think so? I'd mentioned to you. I've had the billboard in Sydney. I mean, this probably would set a Guinness World Record for the most money said on a podcast compared to its listeners. It was ridiculous, but we had a billboard that was kind of funny, and it certainly got people listening. Not as much as begging Daniel Sloss to come on, but it was good. Some comedians have said, get a billboard in New York that Jerry might see.
That's good.
Then that's a bit too direct and not as kind of funny, and also very expensive and a bit stalkerish. Not that this whole pod doesn't already sound a bit stalkerish. And then the idea of just have a billboard in random countries around the world, like put one in Uganda just for the sake of it.
That's better. Better.
Yeah,
because anybody could buy one in New York, like any rich Wall Street guy could buy one. So it's not a lot of creativity, but the Uganda, now we got something.
Yeah, so something along those lines is, I know he loves, people say, do something with Porsche. Oh, yeah, I'll just casually buy him a Porsche. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's got 30 million of them. Yeah, I'll buy him this is a podcast. This isn't Joe Rogan.
Right. Also, I've brought up cars to him and he doesn't want to get into it. So unless you're a car guy, he doesn't want to broach it.
I can't drive manual, so I won't bring it up with him.
Don't mention that.
I know he loves coffee machines, so he's obsessed with coffee machines. His favorite coffee machine is a Breville. which is an
Oh,
Australian company. There might be something in that. People have said, pretend you work at Breville, get a shitty marketing job at Breville, get the email address, try and get in contact with like a fake competition, and try and work something down that path.
that's big. That's the best one yet. The Breville. You got
Yeah.
something there.
Because I can't buy him a coffee machine. He's got the best coffee machine. He loves his coffee machine. Well, he doesn't want some dickhead from Australia that he doesn't know sending him a piece of shit coffee machine. So trying to get on the fake employee path there. People have said he always uses surfing metaphors. So kind of trying to organize for him one of the Australian and he wishes that he'd done surfing. So get an Aussie kind of pro surfer that's based in LA. I know he's in New York, but he's often in LA to take him out for a free surf lesson. Would he be into that, or that's too weird? I'd say maybe too weird.
Maybe, but that's pretty good too. Yeah, he's always said he wanted to surf. That's pretty good. I mean, obviously, you go through the manager, you wait till he's doing a gig out there, and then you hit the manager up. And then if you talk about how it'll be secluded, it'll be just us, no cameras, no nothing. But you got to do my pod.
Yeah, there's always.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then a final one I'll give you. People have said like that Korean pop band BTS, try and get in amongst their crowd who are crazy. There's billions of them online. They get behind all these movements. So try and create a little something that they get behind to get Jerry on the pod. Use the power of the Korean pop fans.
Yeah.
Something's trending on that. If they get behind something, the whole world sees it.
I didn't know that.
If it's about you, if the billions of Korean pop fans get behind one thing about Jerry Seinfeld, someone that he works with is going to see it. Anyway, these are my shitty ideas. Something out of the box. I don't want to just call his manager. I don't want someone that's got that knows him. I want to try and get it in a creative way. Do you have any help for me? Something, Mark.
I think if you combine the Breville and the surfing, that would be big. If he was going out to do a gig there. Have you thought about faking cancer? Faking some kind of terminal illness, just lying, and then once the podcast is wrapped, be like, I lied about the whole thing, and then get his reaction. That would be fun.
Go down the Make-A-Wish route, yeah.
Yeah, the Make-A-Wish route. Also, he's obsessed with his kids. So, like, if you find out what they like, and then you can get into something that they like, and then they'll think, hey, my dad's cool. He did this thing with this guy with the thing I like. His daughter used to love Miranda Singh. She's some YouTube star. And he had her on getting cars with coffee because he thought his daughter would think that was cool.
Wow. So that's why he actually got that yes, and that's pretty cool. Because I thought she was a random choice in amongst the rest.
Yes, exactly. We all did. And I was like, what the hell is it? Oh, his daughter's a fan. Got it.
Yeah, Make-A-Wish could be a thing. But I think having an unfulfilled dream in your 30s is probably your own problem.
Yeah, of course. That's a great quote. But yeah, let's see. I don't know. Cars is out. Don't do anything with cars. I think you combine the Breville with the surfing. You go, hey, look, I'm a Breville expert. I've been working there for 2 weeks. I'll get us I got to show you around the factory. And then after we're going to go surfing, and then you do my pod and we'll call it a day.
The old combo. So yeah, this is like a Breville thing with a pro surfer. We're combining the two. This is people love coffee in Australia. After having a surf, you'll have a coffee, then you'll go for a surf, or vice versa. You go for a surf, have a coffee on the beach, take it all in. We're doing one of these promos. We want to take you for a surfing lesson with so and so Australian pro surfer. We know you love it. You love Breville, because it can't be a money thing. Yeah.
Get him a surfboard that says Superman, like with the Superman S. He's obsessed with Superman, so that would really tickle his taint a little bit. So I think. Just keep going, all the shit he likes. Just keep pouring it on. Breville, Superman, surfing, and then you're in.
If it was that simple, I would be sending him a Superman surf. If he ever heard this thing exist, what do you think his initial reaction would be? And after he thought of it,
like annoyed, like, what are these idiots doing?
I agree. Do you think 10 seconds later there would be any element of respect for the idea in his mind?
I think anytime you put your mind to something and bust your ass to go for a goal, I think he respects that. So there would be an inkling of, all right, I respect this kid's hustle, but the fact that it's about him really would take away, because I think he's not a fan of him.
Cringeworthy. I'm trying to imagine what I would feel like if I found there was a podcast dedicated to getting me on. I'd sue the person. I'd delete their number. I'd do the opposite of going on the actual pod. People even said that the billboard that I made, there's a chance he could sue. You can't just write Jerry Seinfeld on a billboard.
Nah, he's not that kind of guy. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up now. I've taken up enough of your time. The last question is: do you think I will eventually get him on this thing? And if so, when?
I think the fact that you're over where you are helps because it's if you were in the States, he wouldn't give a shit. But the fact that you're there helps. So if he's doing a gig there, I think you got a pretty good shot if you nail your idea. So I'm gonna say probably not.
Thank you.
But,
You are the first honest guest I've had. I've had all these guests on this podcast, and they're all being so polite. They're like, "Oh, if you really work on it in 4 or 5 years, maybe even 3, if you work hard." I'm going, "Hey, you guys are lying to my face. He's never coming on this piece of shit. Tell me the truth." Oh no, there's no chance.
I think you have a chance, but I'm saying probably not. I think you got like a 90-10% chance.
10%. 10%. I've got it at 1% in my head at best, but maybe
one.
Yeah, I'll say to him, look, the best up and coming comedian in the world said I'm the best up and coming podcast in the world. Bit of respect.
I gotta say, you are a solid question guy. You got great interviewer, not question guy, but you got great questions.
I appreciate that. I'm a sports reporter over here in Australia, so there's only so many times you can interview athletes. They all tend to say the same thing.
Brutal.
Yeah. I've heard any interview that's not with a comedian, it's almost actors. It's just so boring. There's no jockeying and jiving.
I know. That's why I don't like them. Like everybody's like, I love Tom Hanks. I'm like, why? He just plays a guy. What about him? That's why I like comedians. They're actually interesting.
Yeah.
Or writers or like philosophers are actually like there's something more there.
Yeah.
Musicians sometimes, but sometimes you get like a fucking Ariana Grande or something. I'm talking about like, somebody with some depth.
Yeah. I'm with you. But I found through doing this pod, there's kind of 2 types of comedians. One that are jocking and jiving all the time like you. And then there are a few who you wouldn't know they were comedians or funny people when you're talking to them normally, but then they go on stage and switch it on.
Right. Yeah, I like the all-around funny guy. Like you put Bill Burr in a DMV or on stage, and he's funny both places.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mates. Well, I won't take another second of your time. I really appreciate you coming on a Complete Strangers podcast. I know you're a great guy, and you can't say no, so I felt bad, but here we are. I really appreciate it. The whole podcast was a hoax. Just send me Jerry's number, and we'll get this podcast finished.
Hold on, let me pull it up here.
Yeah.
There we go. Right.
Oh, g'day, Jerry. Yeah.
But just the fact that he trusts me with it, I could give it to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I could sell that thing for $10,000, but I won't do it.
Have people asked you for it, and you're like, I'm
not. Oh yeah, all day long.
And they mean it. They're not.
Oh yeah. Especially you start drinking. Come on, let's do it. Let's send our assholes to him. Come on.
Well, you haven't sent any drunk text to him, have you, that you've regretted the next day?
Just that car one, just that Midtown shoot video idea. That was the only drunk text I sent, and never again.
Good call. All right, mate. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Anything you want to talk up, promote? You've got the special coming out. Just watch it on Netflix and do your thing.
Comes out early November. Check me out on the socials. Watch the YouTube or just give it a like or a comment. Even if you don't want to watch the whole thing, I get it. I wouldn't want to watch me either for an hour. But hey, it's on there. Out to lunch. Check out my 2 podcasts. We Might Be Drunk, Tuesdays with Stories, and Praise Allah. Ooh.